Hello students. In this question, this setup is given about the Doppler's experiment or Doppler's effect. We already know that whenever there is a relative motion between the source and the observer or detector, uh, the frequency observed will be different or will be changed than the original frequency of the source, right? So this not only happens for the frequency, or here what is given is the term is given pitch, right? So this pitch is nothing but about the frequency. So not only the frequency changes, but the intensity observed by the observer will also change if there is a relative motion between the source and observer, right? So in this question there is a point source. This point source is emitting sound isotropically, that means in all possible directions equally, at constant power p, and the sound travels with velocity c relative to the air. So we know the velocity of sound in the air also, and there are three cases, and in these three cases you have to determine the intensity that will be observed by the observer, right? So let's begin solving this question from start, and the very basic background that I want to give you, and I'm sure all of you know that if there is a sound source or any wave source of total power p that is at rest, the intensity at a distance r can be determined using this simple concept that since the energy is flowing in all possible directions equally, we are assuming this isotropic air here. So energy will be flowing in all possible directions. That means from a point source, the energy is crossing this area of this sphere of radius r, right? So this is crossing area of radius r, right? So this total area will be the area of this sphere, that is 4 pi r square, and we already know that the energy produced at this source in 1 second is equal to p. So in the same amount of time, the energy crossing this surface of the sphere will be also equal to p, and we are interested in determining the energy per unit area per unit time. That is what our intensity is. So intensity I will be equal to uh, power, that is energy per unit time, divided by the area, which is 4 pi r square. So this is just using the inverse square law, that intensity for a point source will follow the inverse square law, and this will be amount of the energy, right? Intensity. What will happen in the cases given here? In the first case, the source is kept at rest while the detector is moving with velocity vd towards the source. In this case, the if the source or if the detector was at rest, the intensity would have been this, no doubt about it, since the distance is between them is r. So let that intensity be the intensity I naught. If the detector was at rest, that is equal to p by 4 pi r square. And what will be changed if the detector is moving, right? So just from the visualization point of view, let's say this energy is flowing in form of the wave. That means these disturbances is propagating towards the right with speed c, right? And this observer or the detector at rest would observe the total amount of energy, this much total amount of energy crossing through the same observer in from one unit area in 1 second. But if the observer or detector was moving in, that means towards the point, towards the source here, it will see more of these disturbances, and they are also carrying some amount of energy. So of course this will see more energy crossing the same amount of area in 1 second, right? So that is why it will see more intensity, and the intensity will be different. So how do I determine that? We can just use this one concept here, that the amount of energy that is being released by this source in one time period, So let's say the initial time period or the original time period of source is t naught. So the amount of energy that will be released by this source here will be equal to p naught into t naught, right? And also at the point where the detector is actually located, the energy received in the time period t naught, or the energy that will be crossing this unit area in time t naught, will be equal to I naught into t naught, right? So this is the amount of energy that is crossing this area. But this detector is actually observing with different time period, and the time period that the detector observes of this source is, let's say, time t, right? And we already know that the frequency will be more and time period will be less, because this detector is moving towards the source. So whenever the source and the detector are moving towards each other, the frequency increases, so the time period will decrease. So the energy that was released in time t naught will be observed in time t, that is less time. So if I just apply the energy conservation principle for a unit area near the detector, that will tell me the intensity at this point that will be observed. So P by 4 pi r square, that is initial, into time t naught will be equal to the intensity observed by the detector ID multiplied by the time period that the detector observes, that is equal to t. From here we can write ID will be equal to P by 4 pi r square into t naught by t, which can also be written as frequency f by the frequency of original frequency of the source, that is f by f naught. And you can just use the Doppler's formula, or the Doppler's effect formula, that is frequency observed f will be equal to f naught, velocity of sound, that is c plus minus velocity of observer, that is c plus, in this case it will be plus because the frequency has to increase. So c plus vd, that is my observer, divided by c plus minus vs, velocity of source, that is 0 in this case. And we'll just apply f by f naught, that is c plus vd by c, and that comes out to be p by 4 pi r square. C by c will become 1 plus vd by c, right? So this will be the observed intensity by the detector. In the case B, we have a different case here, right? In this case, the source is moving with velocity, let's say vs, right? The observer is here. The observer is or the detector is here at a distance small r, right? And in this case, we'll also will again use this simple concept here, that the energy released by the source in one time period will be observed by the detector in another time period. That means the times are going to be somewhat different, so that will give me the increase in intensity. But there is one thing also. What is that thing? Is that when the sound reaches this point here at the detector, the sound, when it reaches this point here, was not actually released from this point here, right? Why is it so? Because sound will take some time to reach from the source to detector, and meanwhile the source has also moved its position. So actually, when the sound reaches the point of the detector here, this sound would have been released somewhere from this position, right? Somewhere behind this position that was at a distance r, right? So this is the position, let's say, the source was when the sound was released, which reaches to this point d, and at the same point the source reaches this point here, right? So let's say this distance between these two positions of source is x, and from here to here the distance traveled by the sound is equal to r plus x, right? So distance is r plus x, and in the same time, let's say the time is t, the distance traveled by the sound is c times t, because the velocity of sound is c, and in the same time the distance traveled by the source is equal to vs into t, and that is equal to x, right? So we can write x plus r is going to be equal to ct. Also we can write x equal to vst, right? And we are interested in determining this value of x plus r, because when we are going to apply the inverse square formula, we are not going to use the radius as r. It has to be x plus r, because when this source reaches this detector, it was released from here, so the sound has traveled from the origin to the detector. The total distance traveled by it is actually equal to x plus r. So the wavefront, the radius of the wavefront is going to be equal to x plus r, right? So now here what I can do is that I will just put the value of x in the first equation, and I'll get r as c minus vs into t, and if I just substitute the value of t from this equation in the first equation, and that is going to be my radius capital R, that is equal to x plus r, and that is equal to c into t, which is c into r by c minus vs, right? So the actual intensity, even if the detector is not moving, right, even if the detector is not moving at all, would have been 4 pi, would have been detector and source, if both of them were not moving, would have been in this case equal to p by 4 pi of capital R square. That comes out to be 4 pi small r square c minus vs by c whole square, right? But since there is a relative motion between these two, the energy that will be released in one time period by the source will be absorbed by some different time period, right? So energy released in time period, again the same thing, t naught. So this intensity, this much here multiplied by time t naught will be equal to intensity observed into time period, that is, let's say t. From here I can write id will be equal to p by 4 pi r square c minus vs by c square into t naught by t, that will be equal to f by f naught, and that will be equal to, we'll apply the Doppler's formula again. So f by f naught in this case is going to be c plus minus v plus minus velocity of observer. In this case velocity of observer is vs, so plus vs divided by c, so v plus minus vo and divided by, okay, in this case the observer is not moving, so the velocity, the formula here is v plus minus vo by v plus minus vs. In this case v is nothing but c, and vo is velocity of observer, that is the detector here, and it has no velocity, so we will get c by c minus vs, right? And we'll just apply it here, and c by c minus vs. So we'll cancel one term here, and what we will get for the answer of the second case is equal to p by 4 pi r square c minus vs by c, right? That can be written as p by 4 pi r square 1 minus vs by c, right? And in the third case, in the c case or the third case, both are moving towards each other, right? So they can be just written as superposition of both of these relations that we have already derived. The source is moving towards the right with velocity vs, the observer is moving towards the left with velocity vd. So this detector is moving, and at this instant when the distance between them is r, again we can use the same concept that the sound will be released somewhere from this position when it reaches to this position, right? And for that the radius of this whole point, this distance will be equal to again this much, that is cr by c minus vs. So we'll use the again same formula, that is going to be intensity P by 4 pi r square C minus Vs by C whole square, and then it will multiply it by the time t by t naught, or simply f by f naught, f by f naught, right? That is the intensity observed, and in this case f by f naught will be equal to c plus minus velocity of observer, that in this case is, since they both are approaching each other, the frequency must be increasing because of that. So in the numerator we'll write the positive sign, so this will be v plus velocity of observer is vd, and in the denominator it will become minus sign, so c minus vs. And if we just substitute this value, c minus vs will cancel out and we'll get only the one power from here. So id will become p by 4 pi r square c minus vs into c plus vd by c square, and that can be written as p by 4 pi r square 1 minus vs by c into 1 plus vd by c. So this is the result we are getting.